Okie dokie. Welcome. It is Wine and Whatever Wednesday. Kristen with Papa Pietro Perry Winery. I am here with our winemaker extraordinaire, Ben Papa Pietro. And our thing today is, does size really matter? So we have a Magnum and a 750, right? Papa baby bottle. Oh, he shows his Coravin. You can't drink all that wine, I guess, at one time. But we've got these two bottles, and it's actually the 13 Sonoma Coast that we did because I wanted to find something that was a little bit older, had a little bit of age on it to see if we can really tell the difference between a Magnum and a 750, because Magnums do age different. All large formats and small formats, I guess, absolutely age different. But Ben, hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I'm good.
Well, welcome. Well, we're at our 13 Sonoma Coast. So a little bit with the Sonoma Coast. We don't make a Sonoma Coast every year. We've been talking about the 18 Sonoma Coast lately because that was in our club shipment. But this 13 Sonoma Coast, what's difference with this 13 versus the 18 that we used to have Ron and Craig are on? Thank you, guys. Hello. Happy holidays. Oh, and Yolanda, there she is. Happy holidays, everybody. But tell me a little bit about this 13 Sonoma Coast. I poured both, by the way. I've got two glasses, so I can side by side.
And I have a rubber band up so I can tell the difference.
What did you do?
I put a rubber band on the bottom so I can tell which one is the 750 and which is the mag. The mag is twice as big as the 750. So there's two bottles in the Magnum and one bottle in the single 750 milliliter.
And I personally believe a Magnum is good for two people, not three, not four, because you have a bottle of wine usually at dinner or with people, and you always want another glass. And so the Magnum takes care of that without a doubt. And I love Magnums. Oh, Crystal's on. And Julia's saying Magnum is party size. I agree, Julia. Party for me and you maybe, but someone else has.
3 liter is the party size for me.
3 liters are amazing. All right, so 13 Sonoma Coast. I'm tasting out of the 750 first. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way if you're supposed to drink the mag versus the 750, because you should always drink them together.
I think the interesting look at the colors are almost the same. So it really hasn't, the age hasn't really impacted it's just almost 7 years old. And this is what we've been telling people is the 3 to 5 to 7 years is where the sweet spot is. But with these wines here, these wine, both of them are very fresh and both of them seem like very young. There's no brown around the rim. The colors are vibrant and really, really pretty color. So, I don't think that the age has really had an impact on it yet. So they're both very fresh. The Magnum to me has a little different nose, you get a little bit more toastiness to it. So right off the bat, this one has the larger size, kind of retained the toasty smokiness of it. So that right off the bat is very seductive in the first part in the nose, which is
a little bit mellower. It's a little bit not lighter. Maybe that's the wrong word, but in the nose, it's just a little bit lighter to me. A little bit. They smell different though. They do have a different nose to them, which is actually fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the first thing that hit me. The color looked the same, but the nose is a bit different. I thought I preferred the nose on the Magnum a little bit more than the 750. The fruit flavors, though, are very, very similar. I'd be hard pressed to find the real difference between the two at this stage of age, which we've tasted our wines have lasted twice this age with no problem, but it doesn't really make sense to hold them like that, because what you really want is this fruit that shows right now. It's this lovely, gorgeous fruit than this. And I'm getting the flavors of cherry, raspberry, and pomegranate in this. And lively, still the acid in this and the tannins in here are really integrated. This would have no problem going years more, maybe 3 or 4 years more with no real change.
Do you think that because it's the Sonoma Coast and it's a blend, meaning it's a mix of multiple clones, multiple vineyards, that the Sonoma Coast, where normally you think these blends, drink them right away and save your clones, but do you think the blends age beautifully as well because they have so many different components with the different clones and the different vineyards, and so there's more there that can hold up?
Yeah, no doubt. And this particular one is interesting. We've used all kinds of different reasons for making Sonoma Coast. One, abundance of fruit. We don't want to make our lots too big, so we can make a Sonoma Coast from time to time. This one appears that's how we made it. I don't really remember. From year to year, it's very difficult because after 40 harvests, I don't remember. If I don't write it down, I really don't remember it that well. But we went back and looked at our master list, and so Booker 777 makes up 43% of that wine, which is a big job. Peters 115, Vinoy's vineyard was a mix. It was never, everything was interplanted, so we just picked that as a whole unit. It was only a couple acres, so it was a very small vineyard that we were getting at one of our club members in the area grew that, so we bought from him. Peter 777 is 10%. Van Noy was 20%. Campbell 777 on the coast was 7%, and 3% of Pomard from Peters. So
What is 777 in here?
a fair amount. There's 3 vineyards that Booker, Peters, and Campbell 777 in this one. But then there's also some Pomard and 115. So it's generally a true blend of different clones, but it does have a good deal of 777, hence the bright acidity aspect of it. But the Pomard gives it depth, I believe, and the 115 is a gorgeous wine, so a gorgeous clone for us.
It's beautiful in both the mag and the 750. I'm getting a little more taste-wise. I'm getting a little more of the fruit in the Magnum versus the other one. Sean's asking, which I agree, Sean, which clone ages the best? Is there a clone that ages the best?
That's hard to say because we don't make one single clone wine. So we really don't have anything to compare a single clone wine. We do clone wine with 3 different locations and one with 4 different locations, which throws that whole idea out the door because you have different sites, soils, and microclimates. So you can't really identify the individual components.
Sean, they all age beautifully. That's amazing. We all know this. Denise is saying, can't wait for a Magnum party after the vaccine. And Denise, I agree with you. We do a holiday Magnum club. If you're a club member, you can sign up and get 1, 2, or 3 single vineyard Magnums every November. They just shipped earlier last month. You can get 1 bottle, 2 bottles, or 3 bottles. And the funny thing about that, when you look at the Magnums, and I know I am guilty of this looks huge, right? Big bottles matter. Lisa's saying it too. This looks really big. And I'm like, who's going to drink all this? But in reality, it's only 2 bottles. And in reality, you have a couple people over or you have kids like I do. How do you not go through 2 bottles in an evening? And mags, because they age gorgeous, they're delicious, but they also say a statement. It's such a statement when you walk in with a Magnum to your friends, and it's really 2 bottles of wine, but they're delicious. I love the Magnums. We also do 3 liters. We do a couple 3 liters. In fact, I'll show you all the different, if I can find where my thing is. Well, here's one, right? Various bottle sizes used for wine. There's a look at that little tiny regular down there in the corner. That's so sad.
Yeah, that's like they call that the puny.
That is the puny. Well, here's all of the real ones. So you have your split, which is your half bottle, it's typically called. Oh no, I lied. There's a half. Oh shoot, your split's your single server. To give you in the airplane, right? Split, demi, half. Standard is the 750. Magnum is simply 2 bottles. The Jeroboam, is that a 3 liter? Oh yeah, 3 liter, if I could see those numbers. And it goes all the way up to a Melicanezer, which is a 30 liter, if I'm correct. That's a party.
And some of those sizes have different names for different wines. Like I believe for champagne, they have a different name for their biggest bottle. So yeah, but we only go 3 liter because that's the biggest we could possibly handle is 3 liters. But I worked at a place we did 5 liters, and we did it was crazy.
We've done 5 liter before.
Yeah, that's where
for a wedding. Ron's asking a question about storing your wine. Okay, so my guess is most of us don't have professional level wine cellars, clearly. So we use wine coolers or just store the bottles in our home without anything special. We store them in a cool room in our house. You know, Ron, I agree with you. Not a lot of people have professional wine coolers. I know personally, my daily drinkers are out in the open air of my house, but I keep my house temperature controlled for my dog and my my wine. I actually do keep it controlled for my wine, but I do have some wine coolers. Stored in a cool, dark place is usually under the stairs. You have basements in those.
It's the vibration, consistent temperature. What's not good is if it goes up and down. If it gets warm, cold, warm, cold. Better to have a constant. It could be a little warmer, constant. I think I told the story about the guy in Hawaii who was complaining about the wines were warm, and I said, "Well, where are you storing them?" And he goes, "Well, under the stairs." I said, "Where do you live?" He said, "Hawaii." Well, that ain't going to do you any good. That's probably 75 or 85 degrees or something like that. Anyway,
ports in Arizona. Sure, that'll.
You need.
We donated wine one time, and they brought the magnum back to us because the cork had popped out. And they said, you know, there's something wrong with your wine. And we said, well, where did you put it? He's like, well, I just had it in my garage. And I think it was June or July, and clearly the wine had gotten cooked. And that's what you can tell heat damage and cold damage, by the way, is if there's usually leakage in the seal or if the corks start to pop, doesn't always mean the wine is bad, but it means you need to drink it. But if the cork is popped or pushed up, that's usually how it denotes some semblance of damage, right?
Yeah, it was in warm weather.
Yeah, it was warm weather.
It'll push the aging. It'll advance the aging too. So that's one way to get an older wine really quick is keep it warm.
Really? Oh, well, I used to have mulled wine. You don't want mulled wine. Mulled wine's not delicious.
Well, they've experimented with putting wine in a microwave for 10 seconds or 20 seconds to age it, you know. But anytime you add heat to it, it's not good.
Well, also say put a copper penny. I don't know what other kind of penny there is, but put a copper penny in your wine. And for every second the penny is in your wine, it's supposed to age it for a year. And I've tried it. Dave Carpenter, one of our wine club members over in Nashville now, actually, I haven't never given it back to you, Dave. I still have it. He has this little apparatus with this copper, and you put it in your wine glass, you stir it around a little, and for every second or 2 seconds, it ages it for a year. And I've tried it with our wine, and it is it's definitely interesting.
So when you use copper in the winemaking process, when I was a home winemaker, I had a copper tube that I would stir the barrels with, and that helped with H2S, hydrogen sulfide. When you get, sometimes when you need to rack your wine, it tells you because it starts smelling like rotten eggs. You know, you get the whiff of hydrogen sulfide is kind of that eggy smell. So copper reduces that. So that's the truth is you put a copper penny in a glass of wine, it's supposed to reduce the sulfur in there. Is
so
what
kids' room. If I put a bunch of pennies in my kids' room, will that increase make it?
Well, we had a copper funnel that you would rack the wine on, you know, and it would splash around and remove the hydrogen sulfide. So they make those in the wine industry.
Yeah. Mary is saying you should always taste before adding to marinara sauces. And my thought, Mary, it took me a second, is you're saying if you think the wine is bad or the top is pushed, before you start cooking with it, taste it, because you are correct. It may not be bad. And Ron, did I answer your question? He said he hit the wrong key. I lost part of my question, but I want to make sure I answered your question on that. So In addition to our holiday Magnum Club, which is a current vintage Magnum, which is delicious, and the idea is put it on your table, you get one next year. If you've ever been to the winery during events, I love to pour our older Magnums because they do age beautifully, and it is fun to taste it because sometimes you go, oh, an '08, an '09, is that still drinking well in a large format? I got to have the '07 a couple weeks ago at someone's house of our Ellsbury Vineyard Pinot Noir, Pinot we don't make anymore, but the '07 was amazing, phenomenal. Aged
1 year.
Never have guessed it was a whatever year old wine that is.
And 13 was a very interesting harvest. Also, it was unusually early and it was large. And the grower, everybody was straining after the 2012 harvest because 2012 was the largest harvest in our history. It was huge. And so there was a huge amount of wine. We were just crushed with so much, we had no space to process, but some part of that county was running 3 weeks early, and in the Russian River area it was 2 weeks earlier. And I kind of wrote down when we got our first fruit for 2013. The first fruit we got was the Booger Pomard, and we got that on August 26, 2013. And the last Pinot came in on September 17th, which is exactly where we were this year. And that was the Nunes 115 clone that came in. And the last fruit we processed for 2013 was the Timbercrest Farm Zinfandel, and that was October 1st. So it was an early harvest for us.
Normally we get fruit in at the end of August, right? Towards the end of August. So August 6th is early.
August 26th.
Oh, 26th. Okay, big difference. I was like, wow.
So, but that's not the earliest. A couple of years ago, we got the earliest was August 17th. And then the following year, which would have been 16, I think, was a day earlier. It was the 16th of August. So right in the middle of August, we're starting to get fruit in some years. And that really is way off of 2 to 3 weeks earlier than we would expect in our area to get fruit. It all depends on bud break. If you have an early bud break, the time between is always the same, between bud break and veraison, and then 130 days to picking.
Wendy's on. Hi, Wendy. Another question asking, should the large formats be stored up or on their sides? I store all my wine on their side or upside down.
Yeah, it's good to keep the cork damp because if the cork is standing up, it has a tendency to dry out. It doesn't dry out right away. It takes years to dry out, but it's always good to keep it on the side or upside down.
Rotate the bottles and keep them on their side.
If you're making sparkling wine, and then you can. And
hopefully nobody's making sparkling wine with your Pinot, because
yes, no, you don't need to do that.
No, in Ullage, your word of the day, everybody, is Ullage, Ullage, and Ullage is the surface to air ratio between the bottle and the bottom of the cork. And if you happen to have a Magnum in front of you or a large format of some sort and a 750, you will notice the Ullage is pretty much the same between the bottles. So in actuality, why the Magnums age a little bit more consistent and homogeneous than a 750 is because you have that same air ratio, but more wine. So the 750, this much air and this much wine, where the Mag, this much air and this much wine. And so the larger the format, the smaller, the larger the format, the smaller the ratio, right? Same amount of air, way more wine. And so it ages slower as well. Your small bottles will age faster. As you get larger and larger in your bottles, they age slower, which is why they're delicious and gorgeous. The only problem is pouring a large bottle. What is the largest bottle you've poured from, Ben?
I think it was a 5 gallons, so whatever the size is, was a bottle of Cabernet that Michael and Rose celebrated their wedding with. And the day before the wedding, we took the bottle and broke it down. And I think it was 3 cases of wine. It might have been 2 cases of wine now that I think about it. We put it. We hand wrote heart with love and Michael and Rose's name and put a bottle on each table for the wedding. So that's the biggest bottle that I dealt with that way. But we had, I think, I have to look back. We had a cracker sweet wine, dessert wine that was a large format for a wedding party that we went to. And they just are beautiful, beautiful. Just a little bit difficult to pour because,
you poured them into other bottles or you poured them into glasses?
No, we poured them into actual bottles and then I corked them because we had a corker and corked them for the wedding, which was kind of fun. So the day before we broke down, I think it was a Beringer Cabernet special reserve that he had bought at auction for his wedding. So we broke it down and it was fun doing it that way. Just a quick thing about the ullage in the bottle. That air space in between there is not actually air. If we do our job properly, technically, that's free SO2 in the. So we measure how much free SO2 is in the wine when we bottle it, because we want to have at least 30 parts per million free SO2, because that holds that spot in the
SO2 as in no cost.
Here is actually supposed to be sulfur.
Oh.
Free sulfur, so it's in gas form.
Got it. Yeah, I was wondering what that. So it is the same amount dependent on the bottle size.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we're always looking for 30 parts as the measure of how much sulfur we want. We want less than 100 parts per million in the wine. We use very low sulfur in our wines. We keep them clean by topping it every 3 weeks or so. But when we go to bottle, we make sure that we make great pains to make sure that we have the right amount of sulfur in the bottle, so that that airspace isn't oxygen; it's actually sulfur.
Yeah, that does make sense. What else am I going to say about the large bottles? I've poured a five or maybe a 9 liter before working in the restaurant business, and we poured it into a decanter and then poured it in the glasses, because it's scary pouring that heavy and that big of bottles. I'm just terrified I'm going to drop it and make everybody mad. Do magnums or larger formats go through less bottle shock?
I don't think so. I think it's all the same, really. It's that bottle shock thing is, you don't want to drink it as soon as you bottle. You want to give it a couple of weeks. I know as we send them out to people, they want to open it right away, but we'd like people to wait a couple days before, let the wine settle after it's traveled.
They don't. They meet the UPS guy at the door with a wine opener and a glass, which I don't blame them. So back to the large bottles for a minute. They all have different names, right? Well, double magnum 3 liter is not a fun name, but once you go beyond the double magnum, they get into the what? Oh my God! Imperial, Salmanzar, Bethalzalar, Nebuchadnezzar. I can say a couple of these. Melchior,
Wow.
Goliath, Midas.
Methuselah.
Where do things come from?
Well, they're based on Greek, I guess. Caesar was the Persian emperor, right?
Actually, by biblical names. Why? And I don't think anybody knows, but a lot of the names came from the Bible. I don't know. They're my favorite characters, I'll tell you that much.
I got religion drinking bottles of wine, I guess.
Hey, anybody can have their church. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I do want to share lots of, they are Old Testament names. I don't think they're new. You're not opening up well, I guess you can open up a Peter. We don't have a Peter, Paul, Peter, Paul, Mark, Luke. Wait, who are they? Who are they? I don't know. Dang it, my Catholic upbringing is not helping me. Matthew, Peter, Luke, and Paul. I don't know. Anyways, Who are the four? Who are the four people in the New Testament?
Yolanda.
Yolanda.
She's not there. I don't know where she went.
I'm so embarrassed. No, let's stick with my Greenberg last name then. Don't ignore my Christmas tree back there. But we do have a wine club member, Charlie. We all just call him Charlie. Charlie's actually phenomenal, and he loves large formats. He likes them better than the 750s. He stopped by a few weeks ago, and he picked up 40 magnums, of which he told me they would be gone before January. And we actually did a little video with him. And because I love Charlie, and because why don't you drink a magnum, I dragged Ben outside with me on the patio. We opened up a 2010 Ellsbury Vineyard Pinot Noir. And for those of you who don't know us, we used to make a Pinot Noir and a Zinfandel from Ellsbury Vineyard over in Russian River. And yes, we do still have some of those magnums. So if you're curious about them, call me and let's chat. But I'm going to play my little video really quick with Charlie because it's fun and I got to drink wine again. So here we go.
Like I said, Charlie loves the magnums, loves the large formats, and we thought we'd all join together.
And Charlie's going to tell us why he likes the large format.
I like the large format for multiple reasons. One, it holds wine over time much better than the smaller 750 milliliter bottles. Like this is a 10-year-old wine, and I agree, it's held very nicely. The other thing I like about the Magnum is when you finish one 750 milliliter bottle while you're getting ready for supper, well, then you have to go get another 750 milliliter bottle so that two people can have some wine with supper and maybe a glass afterwards. So start with the 1.5 liter, the right size, and do it once.
It's less work.
Especially when the wine cellar's down 2 flights of stairs you got to get to and then come back up again. So it's a lot easier to start right the first time, and it keeps wine beautifully.
Well, I like the style.
I've been corrected while the video was on. It is not the Beatles. It is Paul, Ringo, John, and George. No, those are not the names of them. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I knew it, but yeah, well, Sean, we do have a little bit of Ellsbury. So we have a little bit of Ellsbury. Anyways, these are fun side by siding. I am as they're opening up in my glasses as well. I'm sorry, I'm liking the mag.
The mag is tasting, no doubt about it. It just from the nose out, I do see a difference there. It just has, like I said earlier, it has a little bit more of the upfront toast that I see, the spiciness of the wine, and that really carries through. And it just makes me want to put my nose back in that glass.
You can put your nose back in it. And like I said, we do make 3 liters as well. We make 4 3 liters per Pinot Noir. So we don't do a Zinfandel, a Chardonnay, or Rosé 3 liter, although Rosé 3 liter could be an idea. But our 3 liters, we had our 20th anniversary celebration. You guys opened a couple 3 liters. We all got to enjoy. That was delicious. We did our holiday club party last year, and I also do inventory at the winery, and there was an 06 Russian River Valley 3 liter that didn't have a box. I got tired of looking at it. I got tired of trying to count it, and I was scared it was going to fall off a shelf. And so I convinced everybody, or else I just brought it to the restaurant. We had our party last year, and we opened it, and it was amazing, and everybody loved it. And then, of course, we get back to work, and everyone's mad at me that I opened it, and they couldn't sell it. So
Mad at you.
can't win. You can have the empty bottle. You can sign it. Those are good for weddings. You can sign the bottles. Ron, what Magnum should I order in time for Christmas dinner? Ron, I'm telling you, do an 11. Cam, do it a 2011. I'll tell you which 2011s we have. The 11 Magnums are drinking beautifully. I was opening up some 11 Campbell Ranch the last couple of times, and crap, it's delicious. They're amazing. They just they're smooth. They still got that fruit, but the acids have died a little bit. They're just amazing. Yolanda is all about who Jeroboam was the first king of Northern Kingdom of Israel. Melchizedek, king of Salem, was the high priest. She's putting them all in there for us. Thank you, Yolanda.
Didn't Methuselah have the snakes in her hair?
Yeah, I don't think Methuselah is one of the names of it.
No.
Methuselah, well, if you buy a Methuselah, I think some of those proceeds go to like snake rescue or something.
You will. Right.
I don't know, but these were amazing and delicious. Anytime I have an excuse to open wine and or a magnum of that, I think it is phenomenal. But we want to thank everybody again for joining us. We've got a couple fun things coming up at the winery. We've got wine and caviar coming up in January. What better way to kick off 2021 than some Papa Pietro Perry wine, some caviar, and yeah, you can't go wrong with that one. We're going to be introducing another paint and sip. We've got bingo wine chocolate cheese next week. We are at the tail end of that. So if you want to join us for wine chocolate and cheese, you have a few more days to join us. And we are just happy you guys joined us tonight. We're happy on Wednesday. We are thrilled everybody came by. So I don't need you to cheers me, Ben, because I have my own 2 glasses, but cheers.
Well, and if anyone has interest in coming up with an idea of what they'd like to hear about or maybe like to taste, send it along and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, if you do have a topic you want us to talk about, I know you think we want to talk about barrels one day or something. Whatever you guys want to hear about, we want to share it with you. So let us know. We're here for you. We're here for drinking some good wine as well. But happy holidays, everybody. Cheers. Thanks for joining us again. And, go big or go home, or go big or stay home. Maybe that's what I should say. COVID, but
Big.
you're at home. We're both at home. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.